Welcome everybody to the Film Photography Preservation and Collections Management information session. Again, my name is Daniel Garcia, and we also have here Thierry Gervais. He's the Program Director for FPPCM. Thierry, you want to say a quick hello?
Hello. Hi, everyone. Very nice to see you all. I'm going to let Daniel talk first. He's going to talk about all the administrative aspect of the program. And then I'm going to take over to talk about the more academic aspect of the program. And we're going to make sure that you have enough time to ask us a question after that. Nice to see you all. I mean, for now, I just see 4 of you. Hopefully, the challenge is going to make sure that you switch on your camera before the end of the session. Okay, so we start with 4. Let's see how many you are at the end. Daniel.
Excellent.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. So just for everybody, we have just on the screen right now our email addresses. In case you have any questions, feel free to make note. I'll put them up again at the end of the in the presentation, but make sure you make a note of that so we have them. And like Thierry mentioned, I'm going to also give you a quick overview of some of the more administrative side of things in the program, a little bit about admissions, about funding, things like that. And then Thierry will take care of some more of the academic side of things. Here we go. So as the FPPCM program is part of the Yates School of Graduate Studies, that is the graduate, that's the faculty that holds all graduate programs. We're also part of the Creative School, which is the faculty that holds the departments of the schools that basically house our program, and that's be the School of Image Arts. So anything to do with admissions, financial matters, significant dates, they're all set by the Yates School of Graduate Studies. Now, for you guys, the important things to know is basically the admissions process, and especially the dates. The first consideration deadline that we consider for FPPCM is January 20th, 2023. So whenever you're submitting your application, you make sure you try to submit before that date, just so that we are able to consider it. Now, we call this the first consideration deadline because basically is if you submit by that date, we can guarantee we'll review your application on time with everybody else, and we'll be able to consider you for admissions in the program, but also to certain scholarships and awards that happen at that time. Depending on how many applications we receive, we may have to close the program shortly after, or maybe a couple months after, depending. We never know until we actually get the applications. So that's why if you want to make sure you actually get considered, keep that in mind, January 20th, 2023 for your application. Now, in terms of admissions, one thing to notice is there's actually a 2-step process. So when you decide you want to apply to the program, your first step is to go through to the OUAC website, which is Ontario University's website. You basically let them know that you want to come to Toronto Metropolitan University to the FPPCM program. That's your first step. You pay your fee, that kind of stuff. You give your information, contact. You have to also provide the contact information for your referees and your academic history. That's the first step. Then they will send the university will send us an email to admissions, and then admissions will send you an email with how to actually upload your documents into our system. So this will be for your CV or your resume, for your letter of intent, those kinds of things. Okay. The important thing to note is that there's about, I want to say, between 3 and 5 business days period in between the step 1 and the step 2. So do not leave step 1 until January 19th because you won't make it on time. So make sure that you can start doing step 1 now if you want to. If you know for sure you want to apply, you can start doing it now. And then over the next month and a half, you can start uploading your documents as you get them. You don't have to upload them all at once. You can do 1 today, 1 tomorrow, 1 3 weeks from now. The important thing is that by January 20th, you've completed step 1 way before, and then step 2 before the January 20th deadline. Okay. I'll be adding a few links in the chat for you guys to be able to see these things. So like the steps for the admissions, those kinds of stuff, I'll add them to the chat so you have, the same thing I'm saying, but in written form, so you can always go back and take a look at that. Okay. So that's for admissions. Now, Thierry and I will talk about the specific requirements of the program in a little bit, and I'll go through them in a second. But I'm going to go over quickly just for one thing here. Next thing, a lot of information that you need is on our website. So the FPPCM website, if you haven't visited yet, which hopefully you did, trondheimu.ca/fppcm. And specifically for admissions, you'll see it on the top right hand corner right here. That's your admissions link. So that's where you want to go and see all the admission requirements, the programs, what is a statement of interest, what does it require, what do I need for CVs, all that kind of stuff. It's all in there. So make sure if you have questions, stuff like that, visit that first, and then feel free to contact us if you have any sort of information, if you require clarification, sorry. Okay, now in terms of the program, in terms of scholarships, the program tries to provide funding for most of our students. We have basically admission scholarships, which is the first two you see on the screen, is the Ryerson Graduate Fellowship and the Ryerson Graduate Development Award, soon to be renamed, by the way, because as you know, we've changed the name of the university. Now, these two scholarships don't really require any application on your part. These are based on your admission submission. So as a review committee takes a look at your submission, they'll sort of grade it and give a particular sort of score out of it. And then once we offer you an offer of admission, we usually attach a funding offer to it. And they'll be in the form of one of those two awards you see in there, the Graduate Fellowship or the Development Award. Okay. Then in terms of value, these ranges between, I think, $2,000 is the lower ones, and then they can go up to $12,000. Depending on competition, obviously, and the quality of your application. So these ones are automatic. You don't have to do anything for them. It's just based on your application to the program. We do have other program-specific scholarships, and those ones we usually notify you as soon as we become available. These ones usually happen once you're already a student, sometime in the fall term, sometimes in the winter term, and we'll basically send an email to students, let them know, okay, we have these 3 scholarships coming up. Submit your application, and off you go. So it's a pretty straightforward process. You got to make sure you keep an eye on notifications for them. And then on top of that, there's external scholarships. So external scholarships is, again, there's a ton out there. Some of the more popular ones, so the big ones, I would say, is the Ontario Graduate Scholarship, which is $15,000 per year. So a really good amount of money. Make sure that you keep that in mind. For those of you who are coming in application first year, so you basically, we take your admissions application and we use that as part of the OGS scholarship application. Now, for this one, there are academic requirements. Well, you have to meet a minimum GPA average of A- in your last 2 completed years of study. So basically, if you've graduated your undergrad, you just finished 3rd and 4th year, and you finished that a year ago or 2 years ago or before, we'll basically take a look at your 3rd and 4th year of undergrad. Each of them will have to have an A- grade point average in order for you to qualify for the OGS. Depending if you are right now finishing your undergrad, then we might take a look at your 2nd and 3rd year. So those kinds of things. Now, all of that happens in the back end. So we'll basically we'll review those based on your admissions application, and then we'll notify you if you qualify, at which point then you have to submit a couple things in terms of paperwork and stuff like that to apply for the scholarship. This will probably happen around, so based on the January 20th deadline, we'll start reviewing there. So sometime in February or March, we'll contact you to let you know if you qualify for the scholarship, at which point you have to submit your paperwork, and then we're good to go. That is for the OGS. The SHIRK scholarship, a master's CGSM, this one's a $17,500 scholarship a year. So again, big chunk of money. Now this one is, again, requires the same sort of GPA requirements, A- in the last 2 years of completed study. Now, the deadline for this one's different. Deadline for this one's on December 1st. So for this one, you would usually, unless you already applied and you had sort of like the foresight of trying to figure out how to apply ahead of time, you would more than likely be applying to receive the scholarship on your 2nd year of the program. Okay, so sometime next year in September, October, we'll notify any eligible applicants. We'll then ask you to apply. You apply by December 1st, and then the funding starts in the following fall term for a year, for the year, basically. Okay, so those are 2 big ones in there. Like I said, I will be adding a couple links in the chat for you guys, which will help you, which has a few other ones. So the grad studies department has done a pretty good job at basically compiling all the scholarships that we could find in one place. So I'll put the link in the chat for you right now. Give me one sec. It's called Financing Your Studies, which is very appropriate. And here we go. So I'll put that in the chat for you. So you have it and you can visit and take a look. And this one's basically you as a student are sort of responsible for applying for them, because you have to make sure that you are the one who knows what are, based on the requirements and your background, your education, your, when you graduated, all those different things, you'll be the one to know if you qualify for them or not. Okay, so I highly encourage you to take a look at that website, go through them, make notes of any deadlines, and apply for whichever ones you can do. Okay. So again, those are the sort of three main processes for scholarships and awards. There'll be more, I think, throughout the year. We'll let you know. Another question that usually comes up, and we don't have a slide for it, but basically this is for graduate assistantships or research assistantships and those kind of work study positions that you can get. Yes, as an FPPCM student, you are eligible for any of those. And basically all you really have to do is go to the website and apply. It's pretty straightforward. Now, these ones, obviously, you'll be the best person to sort of know if you qualify for any of these positions, because they're posted on the website, usually the beginning of the fall term, but they'll be posted throughout the year as well, depending on the posting. And then basically you'll have to do is take a look at there and see if you qualify. It depends on your background, depends if you're eligible for the class they're trying to require assistantship for. Sometimes they have other things like exam invigilators, which is basically just go and take a look on exam, make sure nobody's cheating, that kind of stuff. I think they pay pretty well. It's like $20-$25 an hour or something like that, just to make sure, sit on an exam, make sure everything's good. So always take a look at the careers website. So the link on the chat in there is torontomu.ca/careers, and you want to look at the student section. And then under that section, you're going to find everything from career boost, research assistantships, graduate assistantships, et cetera, and again, in terms of help you support or fund your studies, that's probably one of the best places to take a look at. By the way, if you have any questions at any point in time, just throw them in the chat. I'm not going through a whole bunch of stuff right now, but if you have any questions, please just put them in there and I'm happy to answer them. Okay. A little bit about the program. It's a 2-year program, 24 months. So you basically start in September and you go all the way to August 2 years after. And you have to be enrolled in the program every single semester that you are a student. With graduate programs, one thing to note is that the enrollment is different. So in undergrad, you usually are enrolled, and based on the number of courses, your tuition fees are adjusted accordingly. For graduate studies, you basically pay a flat fee tuition for the year, and then you're enrolled in the courses depending on the semester. Now, once Teresa goes through the curriculum, you're going to see some semesters you have 4 courses, some semesters you have 3, some semesters you have none. Again, it does depend on what you're doing in your at that time in the program, but registration is full-time every single semester, regardless of the number of courses you have. And you have to basically, from the moment you start in the fall all the way to the August, at the end of August in the second year, that's when you graduate. And that's continuous enrollment. That's what the policy at the university is. If at any point in time you do need to take some time off for whatever reasons, medical, compassion, and so on, there are ways to request a leave of absence if that is the case, but we can always talk about that if any of you find yourself in that situation. Again, that's happened a couple times here and there, but it's a good way of sort of keeping you updated. Okay. So I want to now pass it along to Thierry to go over some of the curriculum or the more academic side of things. If Thierry, you want to go over it?
Sure. But maybe before getting into the program, I just want to follow up on a few things that Daniel developed. The first, I mean, just to give you some information from behind the curtain, okay? Because basically what we are doing right now is describing what you are having access on the website. So I'd love to maybe share intel with you that is not on the website. I am part of the admission committee and I read applications. And I can tell you that, some applications are really making the difference. So shall I share with you some information about how to do an application that can catch the attention of the jury. I'm sure you would love that, right? Well, the first thing, statement, okay? In your statement, what's good is to make sure that what you are writing express that you know where you're going. That might be, very basic, but being aware of the program, and to show that, show that you are interested in the program. You like that course. Okay, oh, great. I mean, the person is already aware of what's going to be taught. That's interesting for us. Okay, it's not one more application to masters. Okay, there is a specific interest in this program. I think that's something very important in your statement. So make it specific. Okay, and we all love photography and film. Okay, all of us here. That's what we do. So jump that and go further than that. Okay, why? What do you like? Why do you love? What have you done? Okay, because it's one thing to like, it's another thing, to be equipped also to get into a master program. So think about that. You need, after that, letter of recommendation. You know that most of the many times we read letters of recommendation that are not directed to our program, for another program. So try to make sure that the person you are asking for a letter of recommendation is aware, really aware, well informed about where you're going. That means that, sending that person your statement is key, because then the letter of recommendation will be tailored for your application. That's what we're looking for. Is it a formal letter of recommendation or something more specific? That is making an interesting difference. Is that clear? Is up? Yes, I see 4 people nodding, so I think that's good. Okay, and I still have only 4 videos. Okay, I need more. Okay, nobody wants to come? No? Okay, give me more time. Finally, we need a resume. Why do we need a resume? We need a resume to know what you've done. And according to what you've done, you are getting credits, in your application. So for example, it's very important to list all the awards that you received and to list properly all the professional experiences that you've had in the field. Because between you and me, that's part of the criteria. Okay, so we can check that. Okay, you understand that reviewing application, we have a lot. We need to have criteria. So I just shared with you, the main criteria when we are reading these applications. I have 5 video. Gwyneth, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It's a challenge for me. And I want at least 10 by the end of the presentation. Daniel talked about something very interesting. He talked about the fact that you have to register for all the semesters. Yes, you're going to see that the last semester of this program, there is no courses. And sometimes we have students saying, why am I paying, if there is no courses? And then we have to explain that we condensed, all the courses over 1.5 years in order to create something fantastic for you, which is a residency placement. So when you're living on a residency placement, don't say, why am I paying your tuition? Because there is no courses. Okay, this was before, when you were an undergrad. Okay, now you're going to be a graduate student. Okay, it doesn't work the same way. So remember this. GA position, you can go on the website. It's sometimes difficult to decipher. That's why we're helping you to decipher it. And how we are doing this? Well, we are connected to those who are teaching at the School of Image Arts here. And we know who is eligible for a GA and TA in advance. So we bug them until, you know, we have a description of the GA position that we share with you. So you see what I'm trying to say here is that we are, oh my God, we are 6 now. Okay, thank you so much. So we are helping you to go through this. It's sometimes, you know, a bit difficult to navigate all of this. Yes, Corey, thank you very much. So we are helping you to go through all of that. Now I want to maybe describe briefly, because I'm sure you went through all of that. I don't want to repeat things that you've read. Again, I just want to give you, Sarah, welcome. Want to give you again some behind the curtain information. Daniel, can you maybe, you know, share the organization of the program through the slides?
Yeah, just give me 1 second here.
So as Daniel said, hello Alana, hello Rachel. We are 10, you know, we are 10, maybe more. This is how it's divided the first year. So see, you have courses, fall and winter, and then you go on a summer internship. I'll come back on this. And year 2, that's for film, but the structure is similar for photography. Second year at the bottom, see the winter term, what you have is research phase. So you have to write your thesis and do your residency. So during the winter term, you don't have courses anymore. Again, back in the day, the second year was happening in an institution where you were being taught courses. So in order to offer you more opportunities of placements, we condensed everything over 3 semesters in terms of courses, and then you leave on a residency placement. The great thing about this is that you can go everywhere. You don't have to be here in Toronto anymore. So that was the same, the change that we made. So what can I say about the program? It's a great program. It's the only program like this in the world. In photography, there is none other program like this one. In film, you have other programs like this in the States, but you will not find a residency program inside this program. That doesn't exist like ours. So I think really the specificity of our program is a very good balance, I think, between academics who will be teaching history of film, history of photography, research methods collection, film collection, photo collections, and a balance of professionals from the field. So we have archivist, librarian, collection manager, imaging specialist, and even curators who are coming in the program to teach maybe one course, but the course that they are the specialists of. But I really think that on the top of all of this academic apparel, what's key is the network of partner we have and that we've built over the years for you to do your internship and then your residency. So I'm going to make the difference between the two. The internships, it's 8 to 12. I mean, Daniel, can you switch to the next slide, maybe? I think just for the numbers. So the internship, it's 8 to 12 weeks full time at the end of the first year. But it's up to you to find your internship. We help you, we connect you, but then you apply to internship programs from institutions. Let's say that you want to try MoMA. Okay, you can apply there. We're going to support you, but you respond. You take what the institution is offering you. And again, we have a large panel of partners. The residency is really, really specific to the program. Why? Because it's happening between January and June, and because you are splitting your time in 2 days and a half you are doing what we call the professional training. Basically, you are working for the institution. And 2 days and a half, you are completing your thesis and writing your dissertation, usually based on an aspect of the collection of your institution. So that's very, very specific. I have never seen that, elsewhere. So I think it's a key component of the program, because when you leave the program, not only you have a degree, you have an MA, but you have, that first line, which is difficult, which is 6 months experience in an institution, working full time. I think that makes, a big difference when you get on the job market, especially if you are going, we are partnering with local community institutions here, but also with, I don't know, the Met in New York, or that's for photography, for film with I Film Museum in Amsterdam, or the V&A in London, UK. And this year, in a few weeks, I have a student who's going to Paris, to the Musée Albert Kahn, to work with the biggest collection of autochrome in the world. So we have prestigious partners. They love you. They love you because you come for 6 months and you come at the end of the program. So you're fully trained. So they need about what? 2 weeks, 3 weeks to train you, and then you're up and running. So for them, it's a win-win, and for you too. So I really think that residency aspect of the program is an asset that we can't emphasize, enough to promote the program. I could talk longer about it, but I think you probably have questions. No?
Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing now so that we can then move into the Q&A section of the information session. There we go. So yeah, feel free if you have any questions, something we haven't covered, or just any questions you have, feel free to either type them in the chat or unmute yourself or raise your hand, and we'll go one by one. And lovely to see more faces in the screen now. It's great.
Exactly. You're now 12. Making my day. I'm sure you have questions, right? No? Okay, Laura, please go ahead. Oh, and David after. Okay, I said Laura first. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah. I just wanted to ask about how much you already explained that we'll get a lot of hands-on experience through the internship and also through the residency, but within the program itself, is it much more of a theoretical background, or how much hands-on experience will we also get in courses in terms of preservation?
It's half-half. When you have a digital application course, you have some theory, but mostly, we are teaching you how to use the tools. When you have a preservation class, okay, you'll be taught how to do boxes and work with the object. But I remember teaching history photography in the second year. I'm not doing that anymore. But my class was happening at the HU, at the Art Gallery of Ontario. And I remember that they were pulling images for us. So it was, a theoretical / historical class, but always anchored and based on objects. So that's something I'm very attentive to. I'm really trying to make sure the students have always access to objects, and they learn how to handle them, how to preserve them, but also how to talk about them from the objects, not things that they read in books. Okay, so we're always asking, the students to challenge what they've read in books. There are always discrepancies between what you've read and what you see. That's what we are trying to put forward. So I would say, Laura, that it's a good mix. It's a good mix of handling practical approaches and theoretical approaches. We have an excellent, I mean, this year we have excellent, really, faculty teaching history of film, history of early film cinema, photography as well. It's a good balance, and it's the good. How can when we look at our alumni, some are working as collection managers, some are working as curators. Sometimes it's rare, it's difficult to get a position as a curator, but we also have plenty of collection managers and registrars and archivists, but we also have PhD candidates, which means that you can do that. It's possible. When you leave the program, it's possible to do that as well. So that's why I'm saying, I think it's a good balance. Hopefully I answer your question. Okay, good. David.
Yeah, Daniel already answered my first question in the chat, so thank you for that. Yeah, I was just curious about if you had any other reading, or even better yet, viewing recommendations, because I'm more of a visual learner, just to get a head start on film history or preservation history, anything that might be helpful to build a foundation even before the program starts.
I don't have that offhand like this, but that's definitely something that we could provide you with. I think what's important is, if you can, it's to review the histories of film. Because one of the things that we are trying to teach in the program, and really starting in the first year, is an historiographical approach of film. So having a good sense of what have been, written about film would help you. And take these histories again, Laura, see, as objects. They are books. Take that as a book. It was published in the 1990s. What does it mean? Okay, and take the time to read them, because you won't have the time after that to read them. You won't. We just had a conversation with our students, a few days ago. They say, yeah, the workload is heavy. It's we have to work, we have to read, we have to write. It's a lot. So I would really suggest that to read just general stories of films and photography, and have a sense of when they were published, who are the writers, how they've been discussed, and that would give you a very nice landscape to land in the program. After that, you can have specific readings, associated to courses, and I think it makes them more efficient than giving them to you now. When you have something that is related to the theme of a class, that makes sense. How you can, you can make sense of them more efficiently, I think. Okay. Oh, Callum.
Hi. So the course is dealing with both film and photography. I was kind of wondering, I guess, how much of the content is specific to either discipline, or if it mainly overlaps, or just a bit
Now
more.
that's a very good question, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to clarify this, because you need to choose between film and photography in your application. You will be associated to a stream, and you will have specific courses according to the stream you have chosen. Some of the courses are common. I teach one, which is research methods. And this year I was also teaching the thesis seminar. I love these classes because then, you know, you have a mix of perspectives, you know, and that I find that very constructive. But that's not the point. The point is that you're going to have specific courses in film and specific courses, you know, in photography, and they match. You have an history of photography and an history of film, and in second year, history of photo 2, and the equivalent in film is orphan film. I can explain that, maybe not today, but as soon as you will be in the program, I explain, you know, the match. But yeah, you have specific courses and common courses. I think digital application is also a common course, and digital preservation as well. Am I answering your question, Callum? What are you interested in? Photography or film?
Film.
Film.
Yeah.
And you, Laura?
Sorry?
Film.
Yeah, and I was asking Laura as
sorry.
well.
Sorry.
I'm interested in film, particularly Latin American film, but film too.
Okay. So 3 film students so far. I mean, the others haven't talked yet. They will. Do we have other questions? I'm sure you have questions about photography, right? No?
I do have a question. I just couldn't figure out how to do the hand thingy.
Oh yeah, that's tiny sign at the bottom, but you can also do that. That works with me. You know.
Okay, great.
Hi, sure.
Hi, I wanted to know, and maybe you can't recall off the top of your head, but do you see a significant amount of international students being admitted to the program? Typically?
You are an international student, right?
Yeah, I'm in Chicago, Illinois, so I would be considered international. Yeah.
Well, we are very interested in international students. We want your perspective in the program, so we are working very hard to get you in. But I won't lie to you. We also have what we call. I'm really giving you really the behind the curtain thing here. We have domestic targets. And, you know, that's the number that, you know, the administration is giving me. Say, you need at least 17 or 18, you know, domestic students. And my role is to always fight to reduce that number and have more international students, because over that target, it's on us. We teach more students. So, but we love international students. Then because of the perspective you are bringing to the program, because of the experience you are bringing to the program, it's very important to us. And I think, you know, it's just what I'm giving you as information. It's really administrative oriented, but I also want to say that the Creative School, and you can see the sign behind Daniel, which is the faculty we are part of, is also really wants to expand internationally. But there is, you know, it's two tempos, you know, it's what you want to do and how the university is following you. You know, they're always a few years behind. But yeah, we want international students.
And if I can jump in there too, just as a piece of advice for any international students, we noticed, especially the last couple of years, sometimes with everything that's going on in the world, COVID, pandemic, all that kind of stuff, it requires a lot more time for international student to process their visa, their student permit, stuff like that. So if you are an international student, try to start that process as early as you can. Because that will help you. We've had a couple of students in the last couple of years that we send them an offer, and then for processing times, visa process, that whatever the reason, they had to cancel their admissions offer last minute. So it's very important that you guys as international students make sure that you research, take a look at, you know, what does it take for me as an international student from the US, from anywhere else, to go into Canada to study. And I think if you kind of start the process as early as you can, that will give you a greater chance so that when you do get the offer, you can actually take it and accept it. Because like I said, we've had a couple cancellations last minute, and even though like you say, we're fighting to get more, and then sometimes other factors can jump in, and then our number of students internationally reduces because they couldn't get their visas on time or those kinds of things, right? Especially with what's going on in the world right now, it's important that if you can, just try to start the process as soon as possible. We do have an international students department that might be able to help in some of those things, and I'll put the link in the chat for you guys as well. Thierry, there's a couple of questions in the chat.
Oh, sorry,
I'll read them for you
I'm
if you
not
want.
looking at the chat.
Yep, I'll read them for you.
Okay.
Hi, Thierry. Could you maybe talk a bit more about the digitization course? Like, what experience can we expect from that? Mainly for the film stream. And so this is sorry that you have a good connection. This is from Liang Li Du.
Well, I mean, I can't really answer very specifically to this, but we are training you to digitize. That's and using in film. We have one scanner here, which is very with different gauge, so you can scan anything. So we are trying to also provide you with workshop to use that scanner here. But you know, there are many other tools related to digital application that you need to be aware of. And I can see that, you know, there is another question from Mariana about related to the management and the preservation of born digital material. We are doing that as well. I think it's in the digital preservation course, where you are being taught how to use a dam and how to organize everything, to work to plan for workflows. I think that's a big thing that, you know, is being put forward. We don't do restoration yet. I want to be clear. We don't do digital restoration. This is very specific. It's like conservation in photography. We don't do this. Okay, we don't train you to be curators. We train you to be collection managers. Doesn't mean that you won't get to the position of curators, but if you want to be a curator in photography in a big institution, you better get a PhD. And because I mean, the competition is so fierce that I don't want to say that, you know, we're going to train you to be this or that. So yeah, we don't do film restoration. If it was part of the question, I know that many students coming in the film program, there is a lot of interest in digital preservation. We don't do that. I mean, you'll have a sense, you'll work on this, you'll inspect film, you will, you know, digitize film, but we don't have a course. I mean, it's more than a course that you need to do digital restoration. I hope I'm answering the question properly. But I'm curious. So, okay, a few of you have talked. So, Gwyneth, are you interested in photography or film?
Photography.
Photography. Okay. I have KK. I don't know if it's your KK. Is it what, film or photography?
Photography.
Photography. Okay, yeah. Corey.
Yeah, photography as well.
Photography as well. Okay, Elena.
Photography.
Photography. See, it's coming up. Photography. Rachel.
Photography.
Photography. Okay. Cheryl, you said photography, right? No, you said film.
Oh, yes, film.
Right. And Sarah?
Film for myself.
Yeah, okay. And the other one, I don't know, because I can't see you. So I don't know if I don't want to, to call a name and then the person has left the computer. It happens so many times when you teach. You have black screens and you call someone. So what do you think about that photograph? And the person is not here. I don't want that to happen tonight, right? That would be embarrassing for everyone. Okay, do you have other question? Oh, Danielle, you wanted to?
Yeah, there's one more in the chat. I'll read for you.
Oh.
Question is, how many students are admitted per stream per year? And what is the academic background of most of the students admitted?
Oh, that's a very good question. How many did we take this year? 19, I think.
Yeah, it's usually 9 and 9 or 10 and 10 in a good year. But yeah, it's usually 18 total. And so it's usually half and half.
We are trying to maintain that balance, 9 and 9, just because it makes your courses easier for everyone. We don't want you to be in a class with 5 students. We had that in the past. I think 5 it's not too many for many reasons. If you have a grad seminar, you need more than 5 students. So we are trying to keep 9 and 9. The background, well, it could be very varied. In film, many of the film students have a film studies background, just because it exists. Photography studies doesn't exist, as a department. Try to find a department of photography studies that doesn't exist. It's a big question that we should discuss in our research method class, because I don't know why, by the way, why photography has not been able to create a department in universities. I don't know, but there is a film department, probably because the industry is very powerful. So film studies, history of art, history, photography. I mean, you have undergrad program, studio programs. So we have one here at TMU, at the School of Image Arts. So some students are going through the undergrad program, trying to be a photographer, and realize, after 1, 2, 3 years, that actually taking photography is not really their interest, and then they prefer some theoretical courses and prefer exhibitions to exhibit themselves, and then come toward us. But yeah, I would say that it's covering the 75% of the applicants to the program. But I mean, it doesn't mean at all that if your background is different, that you can't get in the program. I have one good example. One person who Anna Kazulnik, I'm even giving you her name. She did the photo stream, and she did a residency at the VNA in UK. She was hired as an assistant curator at the VNA, and she just started a PhD in history of photography in an association with the VNA. Well, she came with a background in music, and but she had such a good statement. I still remember the statement, very thorough, very soul, and so we were curious, I think. And she was a great person in the program, really, really great person. So I want to share that with you too. It's, there is no pathway, you have to do this in order to get in the program. I think it's good to have some basics, having a sense of the story of film or the stories of photography helps. because yeah, we look at this because you're going to have a lot to do with this. That being said, having another academic training can, be interesting. Again, I think it's important for us to diversify the perspective in the program. Justin, you found the sign at the bottom right of the window, right?
Yeah, undergraduate of Zoom studies has taught me where it is. My question was, because so much of the program is based on hands-on training, are there contingency plans in place or ways to preserve that aspect if the world dips back into being digital and not able to see people in person as much?
Do you really want me to answer that question? I mean, after 3 years of COVID, we went through a nightmare. I won't hide. It was terrible. It was terrible. I was in charge of your internship and residency placements. And can you imagine the responses I got when I said, do you want a student, to come over for residency placement when they were shutting down one after another? Well, we went through. So we went through what just happened. It wasn't easy, that's for sure. It wasn't easy. We had a lot of people, taking a leave for a year in order to come back. So that's the kind of alternative we were able to provide. We were also working with some closer or close institution locally who, when protocols were not too established and run by, the HR department, you see what I mean? When you work with a community centered institution is different than when you work with the Met who is following policies. I don't want, Justin, I don't want to answer your question because I just don't want to go back there. It was really, really difficult for everyone here. We worked nonstop with the previous director here, Martha Brown, and myself nonstop for 2 years. And that's not what we do usually. As academic, usually during the summer, we leave and we do our research. We do that. We couldn't. So I really, really hope that it won't happen again. Because it's tough. It's really tough for a program like ours. I mean, you can't have both, really. You can't promote an hands-on program with a very important experiential learning component, and at the same time have an alternative, a remote alternative to this. That doesn't exist, that just doesn't. So what I can say is now we have the experience of 2 years and a half of COVID. And I think that you would be benefiting from this. I don't. This is what I can say, Justin, about it. I hope.
No, thank you. That answers.
Okay.
That's helpful.
Daniel, are you watching the chat? Because I am not. So, okay.
Yeah. So I'll read a couple for you. One from JSL. What are the odds of success in the program for applicants without technical experience with film and photography? I think you discussed a little bit about it. I don't know if you want to elaborate a little more.
So by technical, you mean, what do you mean exactly, JSL? Where are you? Oh, you're here. Yeah, what do you mean by this technical? I mean, you don't know what is the gelatin silver process. That's fine. We can teach you that. We don't ask you to take photograph or to make films. Okay, we ask you to be aware of what they are and what they are made of, and that we can teach you. So it's good to be at ease, let's say, you know, with a camera, with Bolex, with, you know, 8 millimeters, or as I said, a gelatin silver print. But it's not a problem. I don't think so.
All right, thank you very much. That's what I want to know.
You're very welcome.
Great. Here's another one from Corey. Is there anything specific to know about applying or studying as a mature student? It's been about 15 years since I got my undergrad. Any advice or thoughts?
No, I think that's great. Well, oh, you here, Corey.
Yeah, one question I had, because I know in the application package, it says that your references are supposed to be academic, and I haven't. I have taken a couple of continuing ed classes through the university, but I haven't been in school for a while.
Yeah, we are usually asking for at least an academic reference. What is your question? Is there any specifics? You're going to be with younger people. That's something important to know. They are not organized the same way. They don't work the same way. But I think it's also very enriching. And
do you get many mature students in the program, or is it most?
I mean, we each year we have some, yeah. Each year, I think we have at least 2 this year, among the first years. Again, I think from my point of view, I think it's great for the question of perspectives. It's good. It's good. It's balancing a lot in the program. But I mean what I said at the beginning. You don't work the same way. You're not efficient the same way. So maybe you've been out of school for a long time, but you know, you've learned to be efficient in life, and that helps in the masters. Believe me, that helps a lot, especially when you have a lot of work. And most of the mature students, experienced students, I don't know how to say that, they really take advantage of the program. Because they hit the ground and run.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, if I can just add to you in terms of the letters of recommendation, Corey, it would obviously help if you know someone, an instructor, stuff like that, great. But if not, I think if you're going to get someone more in the professional, a professional reference, then the important thing for them to know is that we want references that provide as much information about you as possible. In the business industry, you're generally speaking, a reference is like, hey, this person's great, hire them, right? But we want more than that. And that's why the academic references are important, because instructors, professors know what it requires from a reference to get you into the program, right? So if you don't have that instructor that you kept in touch with, stuff like that, a professional reference might be okay, but just make sure you let them know to provide as much information as possible of how they know you, what skills are good, and what skills they see in you that will make you a good candidate for the program, how, when, examples, all those different things, right? That's very important. I think the problem becomes when we get a professional reference and it basically just says, Corey's great, let him to the program, and it stops there, right? Which doesn't really help until you can, talk about this, but it's basically just the more information you have is better. And on that note, if you can let them know, provide them your CV, provide them your statement of interest, give them as much information and as much time as possible so that your referees can write your letter of recommendation, it can only help you, right? So it can only, the more information you give them, it's going to be easier for them to, to write it. And then at the end of the day, hopefully you get a better result because of that. Okay. And then on the administration side, very important, you will not get the letters and then you upload them. The referees have to submit the letters directly. So about the same time that you get your email from Toronto Metropolitan University saying your application is ready, you can start uploading your documents. Around the same time, your referees will get an email from the university saying, please submit a reference for this person. There's a link, they click on that, they put your name, how they know you, that kind of stuff, a couple of basic questions. And then they can either type the letter right in the browser or they can upload a pre-written letter if they prefer. But in your end as applicant, just make sure you follow up, make sure they got the email, make sure you didn't go to the spam mailbox or something like that. Because without that, we can't see your applications because admissions will hold back the applications until they're fully complete. And they're not considered complete until the letters of recommendation are submitted. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
I want to follow up on this because I have to write letter of recommendations. So I can share a few tips with you. I mean, don't ask for a letter of recommendation without explaining where you're going and why you're going there. Don't ask for a letter of recommendation without a CV attached and without your statement. That's a waste of time for you and for the person you're asking. Okay. And please don't ask a week before the deadline. That's the worst. Okay. Give people time. When is the deadline for us? It's the 20th, I think, of January. That's the thing you should be working on right now, to ask letter, because you want a good letter of recommendation. Believe me, I had to write letter of recommendation at the last minute. They were not my best ones. So take that into consideration. It's when you apply, basically, what are the technical aspects? Okay, the letter of recommendation are part of the technical aspects. Take that into consideration right now. You don't want to have a good application with bad letter of recommendation. Okay, you just don't want that. Okay.
Okay, I think that's all the questions in the chat. There was a question about the BIPOC, the FEPCM BIPOC scholarship for students, and I'm just typing up. But basically, we are working on the funding, guaranteeing all of that, and so normally we open up the scholarship, I want to say sometime in February or March. Last year, the submission deadline was in July, so it'll give you a good amount of time to submit basically the requirements, which is basically a statement of interest as well as your admission package. And but yeah, so it will update our website sometime in February, March with the final deadline for next year. Okay. So it is past 6 o'clock. So if there's no more questions and everybody's good at this point, we can end the night. You guys have our contact information. Thank you very much for coming. We hope to see your applications coming soon. If you do have anything that comes up, any other questions, anything else, please feel free to reach out. We're happy to walk you through the process, because I know sometimes the application process can be a process. So it's important to reach out if you run into any issues. Just send us a quick email. We'll try to respond as soon as we can, and we'll walk you through it. So again, thank you very much. And yeah, have a great rest of the night, guys.
Yeah, nice to see you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
See you.
See ya.
The future is creative. The Creative School.